What is going on, everyone, and good Wednesday morning. We are live, doing some live trading here this morning. A little bit of a later start, but no big deal. Still in a couple things. We'll be talking through what I am doing as of right now and some of the past trades that I've made, at least a couple things that I've done. So AMC, I've been riding up from 1735. I've trimmed out like 80% of my 90% of my position already. So I have a stop loss on it here if it falls below 18, and that's it. Yeah, it hit up to 19. I think it can go to $20, but I want to see it holding up on like 18 or so. If it falls below that, then I'll be getting out on the stop loss, which is still above my average. So all my shares will be taken off for a profit. So that was kind of a fun one that I picked up here at 1735. So once it kind of popped right here, I grabbed it right here on a little bit of a pullback and then said, okay, if it falls below 1725, I'll cut it off for a small loss and I'll look for a re-entry if it comes down towards 17. Never did that, so I just rode it on the way up and slowly scaled out along the way, and it held VWAP very nicely for the morning. And then so far, since the market was open, a lot more volatility, but I held through that because I had already trimmed a good chunk of it off up over 18, so wasn't too concerned about that. So now riding the rest of that, but yeah, it's an interesting day. We had a crazy day on PIRS yesterday, which something I gotta talk about in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for tomorrow's video. There's some something we got to go over when it comes to PIRS. So we'll talk about that one tomorrow. I'm not going to mention too much on it today, but it was a crazy move. Hit up to $6 in after hours from starting the day, under $2, which is great to see that type of movement back in these stocks. They have an offering, an S3 on file, so they could drop an offering at any point. Will it happen? I don't know. Could happen today, could happen tomorrow. Maybe they don't do it. Either way, from the research I've done into PIRS, if we dive into, I can pull it up actually. Let's pull up this. So their actual news from yesterday and what I'm expecting, and so you guys can get probably a good hint as to what I mean by this. Here, I'll pull this up. PIRS. I think I did PRIS. Sorry. PIRS we had yesterday. News comes out right here. We had collaboration with Gene and Tech. I think I don't know how you say it. Whatever. So they're going to receive $20 million up front as payment, and they're eligible for up to more than $1.4 billion. This is from my research into this. This takes a long time. Number one, for this to actually progress, and for us to see more, news, and for them to receive more, I guess, milestone payments. If things work out, many times things get complicated down the road. So we got a lot of time. PIRS did about 20 something million in revenue, I think last year, which was like cut in half from the year prior. So that's big. It's big news. But also I think longevity wise, I think we'll pull back. I think so. I don't think going long here is a good idea. And it has pulled back quite a bit today. It's sitting down at $4.30. It's up on yesterday, since yesterday's close, but it hit $6 in the after hour, so it's down like almost $2 off of yesterday. So we'll see what happens, but you can probably get a hint as to where I am sitting at on that one. Restriction, yeah, it is a pain. It is I hear you. NDX looking weak. Let's see, what do we got on? KTRA is an interesting one. It popped on up. I think they had some news. This is one that's popped up. I was thinking about taking it short, but didn't do it. We have TKT, so NFT names are pushing on up. I think GameStop has definitely helped ignite that, or didn't they have some NFT news as well? NBRV was a good one yesterday. I don't think I traded it. I know I did. I did trade it yesterday, and it was in the after hours. They had positive phase 3 news. The problem is that this came out, I believe, like 1 or 2 hours after the market was closed. So there was less volume initially on the pop, but it still popped up like from 150 up to like 225. And see this line I have right here? I actually had previously drawn this line in on a daily resistance line. So right here, we had this right here. I drew in because it was a prior kind of gap fill almost, and a prior resistance up around 225. So that pretty much hit, and we gapped a little bit higher in the after 4 a.m., right? So early pre-market this morning to 262, and then have pulled back pretty much since. And I traded it again here this morning with a $2.03 entry with a stop loss under 2, and that didn't hit. And then I eventually moved my stop loss up to VWAP at like 209 when it broke above, and then eventually it came back and hit my stop loss. So I made 6 cents on those shares, which wasn't big, but at least I kind of played it that way. I don't like to play these types of super volatile plays too much. right away in the morning, like or right after the market opens, because they're very volatile, and stop losses get hit pretty easily. So I don't like doing that, but that's what I did. And now it's pulling back. Even after positive phase 3 news. If this positive phase 3 news came out, I would think this morning, it would have ran up. I think it would have probably gone $3 plus. It just depends. It's really about the timing. The problem was that we had PIRS yesterday. And so in the after hours, that was kind of the main show. And so, NBRV got that initial pop, and then that was kind of it. It kind of petered off. So now you're getting less interest because you have news in the yesterday after hours. By the next day, unless it's super, super strong, which it wasn't really super, super strong into the open, usually these don't get that much continuation. They can, but usually they don't. So that's that. Yeah, it's hard to swing trade. Yes, it is. It certainly is. Definitely not easy to swing trade in this market, which is why I'm in a couple things that I kind of look at as kind of swing investments, whatever you want to call them. I don't want to call it an investment because if they pop, I'm out. If they spike, I'm out. But in the meantime, I still like the sectors they're in. I like where they're sitting at. CEI is one that's pulled back quite a bit. They had been late to file, I think, their yearly reports and financials. The reason why, and I've been buying, I'm going to buy some more if it gets down to like 50 cents, which I'm waiting for. So we'll see if we get there. But I think what's really cool, if we go to Cambridge, I don't have it pulled up actually, but I can pull up their site. But what was really cool is I discovered this actually yesterday. Actually, no, I think it was on Viking. They have taken, I think, 62% ownership in Viking. So we can pull this up, Viking Energy Group, right? So if I pull up Viking Energy Group Inc., I was looking through this really quick just to get a sense. And it was good to see the CEO came out and he has like updated videos talking about why they're delayed and how they have all these different things to file financially. And talking about in this last, I think, video too, he mentioned how Viking had 10.49 million in revenue last year. And so since CEI has taken 62% ownership, that means they get like 6.5% or 6.5 million in revenue. And their revenue last year was like 300 and something thousand. So their revenue is going to be up technically because of that ownership with Viking. So we'll see what happens when that all gets taken care of and filed. Oil's still holding up pretty well. We can probably pull that too. Let's pull up oil. So I think oil's at 65.5. Yeah, it's not bad. But I mean, relatively speaking, the past month it's elevated from where it has been. So I do like the oil play still, which is why I like CEI. CEI is my favorite oil play, at least as of right now. Reason simply why is just because we are talking about a 15 million market cap. And so any news, any little thing, this thing spikes to $1 quick. And it's done it before. I've played it many times in the past, so I like it. Yeah, you run the risk of everything, but from what I've been seeing from the CEO, it seems like it's somewhat promising in my eyes for at least a spike at some point, as long as oil stays elevated. And it's been weird. These oil stocks have been trading like they've been, like they kind of were back when oil was getting crushed, a year ago or a little over a year ago, right? So it is what it is. Let's see. What else do we have to look at? TKAT is the number one gainer as it is right now. So that's interesting. I don't touch TKAT. It's a super weird one to trade. I've traded it in the past and I've always gotten stopped out, or at least it always, knifes on me whenever I take it. So I don't usually touch it unless I'm going to swing trade it early, which you probably could have. I mean, you were kind of buying this thing as it was averaging. You're averaging down on it. But usually that thing gets a spike at some point. So that's going to go on a trade, or at least, every couple weeks it seems like it pops. But across the board, market's like kind of flat. NASDAQ is up a little over 0.25%. AMC, what's AMC doing? So we haven't gotten stopped out yet on the rest of our shares. So VWAP is holding up. So now I could probably move this up. Let's do that. Let's move this up to just under VWAP, which would be around that 1825 area. So I'm going to keep moving the stop up. I really want to see AMC hit $20, and that would be great. But I've already locked in like 90% of my shares, or whatever it is, right? So it's a green trade on the day for me. So I'm not really too worried about it. Let's see. PTIX is a weird one. It's like a recent uplist to the NASDAQ, right? Yes, it's a recent NASDAQ listing. So these are super volatile. There's not much chart history. These are not ones you want to be day trading, I don't think, unless you have a pretty tight stop on it and you're able to get in, get out quickly. Other than that, it's a risky, right? So here's why I like NVOS, right? So take a look at this chart on PTIX. NVOS, I think is a couple months back, was a recent NASDAQ uplist. So kind of a similar look, setup chart-wise, but you're buying it or I'm swinging it from here. So we have a $2 support on it. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a great average on it, to be honest, because I was buying it back in here, and I sold some into this spike over 3, and then I rebought. So I'm fine with that, right? But now it's the same idea as your PTIX. I think, it's really a matter of time before NVOS gets a pump. They drop some news. It goes. People find it. It's a low float stock. I'd pull up NVOS. This is why I like it for a swing. NVOS, it's bottomed out. You're talking about a sub 10 million float, super low float, 57 million market cap, recent NASDAQ uplist. These have been relatively hot as of late. So, it just needs to get the attention on at some point, and it's a patience play. So I'm not really too worried about it. That's kind of how I swing a lot of these things. I'm buying at bottoms, I'm buying low, and that's really it. I'm holding with patience. I'm not going crazy on anything. And I buy the dips. That's really it. And then one more, I am not in. I'm waiting for something to happen for me to free up some cash somewhere else. Potentially once I get out of PIRS, which I'll explain in tomorrow's video. But AEI is bottomed out. Post offering at $5. So I think a good target would be up to $5 from here, under 4. That's a solid gain. You're talking about over $1 move from the current levels up to about 5 would put you at approximately a 32% gain from where it's at right now, which is beautiful. I like the 25% usually is a decent target for me on a lot of my swings. That's where I look to take some profits, depending upon what I'm looking at. If I see resistance before that, I'll take profits earlier. But generally speaking, I like to have at least 25% upside on a swing that I'm taking. So this one fits that criteria very nicely, AEI. I'm just not in yet. Of course, I'll probably miss it, right, if I wait too long. So I might take a stab at it later on. Today or this week or tomorrow, whatever. So then this is another one, AIRI. It was a day trade turn swing, and that's not, I wouldn't recommend that, but I was in smaller, so I have room to add, and I will probably double my position. I could double my position if I want to, if it dips a little bit closer to $1. The reason why I like AIRI, if I pull it up on here, FinViz, we can see that we have some recent insider buying. So we have a director right here on May 18th. This is recent. This is like not even 10 days ago, who bought at 113 and bought 40,000 shares at 113. So roughly, right? So I kind of like the insider buying action right there. And we're sitting at 118. So it has prior spikes, and they had good news that was it went unfound on what's this, Monday? Yeah, it went unfound on Monday in a sense. Where it had good news, it popped quickly to 140. I think we can get 150 on it. And so I'm going to sell some up there, and then it kind of there was no volume on it. So I made the mistake, not the mistake, but I bought in here at like 130-ish, and I was looking for 150, didn't get it, and it kind of faded off, which is my bad. I could have cut it, but there was literally like no volume. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a terrible fill if I cut this one. So I'm going to hold this one for a swing. They had some good news recently. I think a $7 million contract or something like that. So I think it's okay to swing personally. I would like it lower to add, but that's what I'm going to kind of do. I don't want to take a loss. Yeah, here it is. $7.4 million release for commercial jet engine components. So market cap of 38. Do the math on that. 7.4 million. It's pretty good for, that sale, or at least that income, I guess, from that. So that's at least that. Let's see what else is going on. KTRA is the number one gainer right now. It's weird. I don't know. This is a weird one. KTRA had some news, but I don't think this was anything crazy. If we go find the news on KTRA, we can pull up what we got. Let's see what we have. We have PRs. What do we got? ADM provides positive site activation update on their phase 2/3 clinical trial for glioblastoma. Okay. Cancer play. So they're cancer. These are usually hot generally. Announced that treatment in the arm has been activated in 15 U.S. sites. So not much. There's not much info here. We don't have like, oh my gosh, this is the next best thing. We have positive phase 3 results. No, that's not the PR. At least what it doesn't seem like. So yes, this is not like a crazy good news. So this is why I would stay away, especially it's already up 30%. Yeah, if I was catching it here in the pre-market or the market open on a dip down to 150, yeah, risk reward there is pretty good for it to catch today, but I'm not a huge fan of trading it up here. If anything, I would go short, but then at the same time, if you look at the daily chart on this thing, Could it go up? Yeah, it could push if it got the volume. And after PIRS yesterday, I'm gonna step aside from shorting some of these things that, unless they're really up there. And at that point, usually there's no shorts available anyway. So it's just like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna short a news play right now. Just not a big fan of that. That's just from which, I'll give you a little hint into my issue in PIRX or PIRS. Yesterday, I shorted it, went to the gym, and I thought I was good, and that was the problem. Don't do that. Don't short something and leave, or just not look at it. AEI resistance. Yeah, AEI's got to get back up. 580 plus. Yeah, I think the gap fill is pretty nice on that one for AEI. But yeah, I think $5 is a pretty good target. It's usually a pretty strong resistance. How much are the glasses? These are like super cheap on Amazon. You can get better quality ones. They're like, I want to say like $10-20 I got on Amazon. Just blue light glasses on Amazon, like super cheap, just to try them out. I may upgrade at some point to a more, I guess, expensive pair. Maybe they're a little better. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm pretty cheap as it is. So I don't really take it. I try to stick to as cheap as I can be, if I had to be honest. Okay. Oh yeah, here's another one. So UWMC, okay, a little hard pullback there. This is another one that I kind of want to get out of at some point, but there's no reason to get out. I looked at this one today. I kind of have like $1,000 tied up in it, but I'm like, okay, it still looks pretty strong. Got resistance here at like 875 area. I'm looking for 9 to 10. So that's what I want to see on UWMC, but there's no reason right now. The chart's not telling me to get out. So unless it fell below like 8 again, there's no reason for me to get out of this guy. So I'm still in that one. So I got a couple things that I want to clean up, but there's just, I'm not gonna exit something, stupidly just because I want to get out, right? And miss out on potential gains, because I'm not patient, right? That's what always ends up hurting you, I think, a lot of times, because you're not patient, you end up missing out. ELYS is a great one. This is a beautiful play. I want $10 on it at some point, but I'm willing to wait on that one for quite some time. So in the meantime, I scaled some of my position out. I think I had like 750 shares at the peak, I want to say. And this is all relatively speaking. I don't go in more than 10% of my total account size, which is sitting like around $44,000. So I don't go in more than that on a more than 10% of my account into one given stock. So I had 750 shares, and my plan now for ELYS, I would like to see it get up to $6. If it does, great. I have another 100 share sell there, great. So I'm scaling out on the way up. Ideally, I want to sell, more at over 10. If that happens at some point soon, it may not. So I'm willing to ride this one out for the next couple of months, right? But in the process, I'm selling pops, I'm buying dips. So if this one comes back down towards 450, I will rebuy 100 shares at a time on dips going down, right? That's kind of how I'm going to play ELYS. It's at $5. It hit up to over 5. It went up to over 530 a couple days back, Monday. So it's looking good. Also 50 SMA, this blue line right here, we broke above it. Now we're holding that 50 SMA, which is at like 475. That's a good sign. That's a pretty healthy sign in my eyes. So I like that one. Not taking trades. Well, if I see something that I like, I'll definitely take something. We'll see. But as of right now, I'm just riding the rest of my AMC for now, and then I have a short on PIRS. But the short on PIRS, today it's green, but it was not yesterday. So I'll tell you that. And that's one of the things. It's a pain, I guess, to short on certain brokers. Certain brokers are better than others for shorting. If you can reserve shares, then don't worry about it. But on a broker like Webull, you can't really reserve shares. You can do it a couple different ways. You can set your shorts ahead of time, and then that's like reserving your shares at certain price points. But then again, right, we don't have price action to tell you if it's going to hit those levels. Or if you don't and there's no availability, everyone, all the shorts get reserved throughout the day, you can't short. And so if your plan was to average up onto a short, you can't do it. So you got to be careful along those lines. That's why I never go in big on those things. So those are like, I would say, generally speaking, you're talking about 2 to 5% of my account max on any short ever. I will never do more than that on a short unless I have a tight stop in place. So that's how I run that stuff. Interesting day. AMPG, I think, is doing pretty good. Don't know what that was. AMPG, look at this. This is a stock that's kind of bottomed out here. It fell down to 4. Yeah, I added some down there. Yeah, my average is terrible, right? relatively speaking, but even that average over 5, I think, is still fine. This is probably a stock that can get it could make a kind of a sneaky move to like $8, $10 like that. It was up over 19 not that long ago. So I like it a lot. It's gotten quiet, but we're seeing a lot of growth and high tech plays kind of resurging. So I'm fine with that one. We got PLTR is pushing up. PLTR is pushing up. We have, what is it doing? Let's take a look at the 5-minute to see where it's been recently. It's broken the high of yesterday at 22.11. And if we look at the 1-hour chart on PLTR, it's looking good because I was talking about this area right here. We grinded through this area. Now we got resistance right where it's at because the 50 SMA. Actually, look at this. This would be a decent short opportunity potentially, right, for an intraday, just for an intraday, because we have the 50 SMA resistance right here. That this blue line has been resistance in the past. And we're at that line at 22.25 is that resistance. So maybe we can do it. We could do it, but I've been burned on these before. But we can do it. Let's do it. And I'll put a stop on it. So that's it. We'll enter it and we'll put a stop at the 220. I'll put like a stop at like 230ish, 2230, roughly. So it's a minimal downside risk. We'll do 100 shares and we'll see if we can get the 19. We'll go short at the 22.19. Can we get that? Let's see if we can get it. I'm looking for a VWAP, so down to like 22-ish, nothing crazy, all right, down towards, roughly about 20, just under 22, probably about 22 would be a target, I would say. Just because we're at the 50 SMA on the daily chart. So let me see if I can get the 19, let's see if we can get 17. 22.17 I'll do, and then we'll put a stop on it at the, let's do a buy. So now here to do a stop, we got to do a buy, a stop. 100 at, and we got to do 22.27 will be our stop. So we're risking 10 cents for like 17 cents. It's not really a great risk reward, but that's what we'll do. Okay. That's what we're going to do. Just because we're at the 50 SMA on the daily chart, it's really the idea behind it. And maybe it pulls back intraday to VWAP, and that's really it. But market's green right now. Tech's up 0.5%. So, you could. We got a seller at the 22.25, so that's why I kind of want to make sure my stop loss is just beyond that seller. So that's really that. And I'll move the stop down as we go green on it. If we go green, I'll move the stop down. That's really it. But let's see. Probably come back down. Yeah, that's the thing. The PLTR, there's nothing against it, right? I have it actually long in my IRA, right? But if for an intraday idea, here's just an idea. Now you can go larger size and you can size up and everything, right? But large idea here, 50 SMA on the daily chart, 22.25. We got resistance as a big seller at that point on level 2. And VWAP is down here. You got about 25 cents to VWAP. So it seems like a pretty good risk reward, at least as long as your stop is relatively tight on it. Now, could my stop get hit and then could it fall back down? Sure, right? That could easily happen as well. But I started trading a couple of years ago. I've been trading on and off I'd say 4 or 5 years, but realistically more actively and more seriously 2-ish years ago, roughly, I would say. Let's see. How's AMC? Oh, AMC's like it wants to break under this. Looks like it wants to fall under this VWAP potentially. So I'm going to move my stop up a little bit more to make sure we hold up. Let's see. Squeeze. Squeeze me. I got squeezed yesterday. Don't worry. Fun PT 250. PHUN. Oh, let's see. We've got a nice, if that's a PT upgrade, that's interesting. Oh, that's not a bad chart, actually. That's not a bad chart. Because we're setting up for, this is a cult stock as well, in a sense where I've traded it quite a bit. It always gets hits. They like to drop news a lot. They haven't dropped news recently, or at least a lot of news recently. But we're in a decent spot. You got support down to 115-ish. You got resistance, I would say, you got some resistance at 140, but you got really the 50 SMA. So I'd say up to 150 would be a good target first. And then look at these spikes to the left. I mean, you got range of 250 easily. I mean, it can easily get there. So easily can. Not a bad idea. I mean, if you keep a fairly decent stop on it, wouldn't want to see it under 115, but that's risking 15 cents downside. So it's not bad. Let's see. PLTR, what do we do? Do we, no, it's not really doing much. This VWAP is coming up slowly, but yeah, you got some buyers down. So maybe what I'll do is if it does dip a little bit more, I'll move my stop to like 1 cent under my average. So it's a guaranteed. Yeah, let's do that. It's a guaranteed green trade, and then we can move the stop, down as we go. So it's a free trade now. That's kind of how I would do a lot of these things. I could have gone bigger, right? Because what's 20 cents on 100 shares? $20, right? But I could have gone a lot bigger. Look, there it comes. Here it comes. Let's see. $22 would be the area that I would like to see. So maybe let's move this down to, let's go to like 22, 13 stop, and then we'll just keep moving it down as we check back in on it. But that's the idea. You could trade options on it. You could trade shares. You can trade larger share size because it's not a super volatile stock. So that's why you can go a little bit larger. I didn't personally do it, but that's that. AMC is coming down to VWAP as well. So AMC may be pulling back. AMC does like to potentially die. Like it gets to a point where it generally likes to fade off generally at some point. So if it does crack VWAP here, which it may, so let me just move my stop a little bit. It's probably going to crack it right now. It probably fades off, but that's like 20% of my, or 10% of my shares, whatever. That's it. Yeah, fun is probably one that you could probably wait out. And if small caps stay, they're getting hotter. Small caps stay hot. Fun drops some news. It probably runs. It's one of those stocks that likes to run, and it probably runs. You just don't want to get caught in holding fun from like $2 plus all the way down. But now is a much better risk reward entry. I think it's not a good idea. Full-time? No, not necessarily full-time. I don't necessarily rely. I guess you can say I don't necessarily rely on the trading income full-time. But I mean, you could take the time that I spend on this stuff and call it full-time if you want to, right? Nights and thinking about it, not sleeping, being up. Well, I do get up in the morning and watch pre-market every day just because, I like to see how stuff moves, and it gives you a really good sense for what's going on. Okay, look, KTRA is pushing up. That's a pretty nice grinder today. NBRV is kind of bottoming out. This could even be a long idea here for NBRV. It's kind of trying to develop some support at like 185. So that could be a decent idea. We can take that one long, maybe, and look for a move to VWAP. So I'd say up to like $2 to VWAP. So does the risk reward make sense? We're probably going to have resistance at $2. So if we do the math here, if we're getting at 192, we would risk down to 185. So we're going to risk 7 cents for 7 cents. That's not really the best risk. It's not terrible, not the best risk reward, I would say. So if it does dip a little bit lower, down to like 190-ish, I would take it. So we'll watch that one for a decent idea. ASXC is another one that's running on up. Interesting. I wonder if there's probably some news. It seems like it got a little pop in pre-market, so there must be some news driving it, I would think. Amazon. Amazon's, let's see. I haven't actually, I don't actually own any Amazon, I don't believe, even in the long term, but I should. I feel like I should. AMZN. Let's take a look at the daily on it. How is it doing? It's been solid. I mean, it's been pretty solid. My PLTR stop loss just hit, so okay, we'll have to check in on did I miss on that one. But it's been in an interesting consolidation area. So we want to see what happens with Amazon now. We got to see a break to the upside or to the downside. We just had a push up, so now we got to get back up over like 3,500 again for a move up, or maybe it comes down under 3,000 again. That's our kind of our range. So you got like a $500 range on it. So it's not in a bad spot. It's just kind of like in between, right? If it came down towards like 3,000, I would love it a lot for even like, calls for a couple months out. But if you wanted to play it that way, that's not generally how I trade, but that's not a bad idea. And if it gets up here, could be put idea, or if we get a breakout for a further move north, then yeah, you can also play a bigger play up. So PLTR, what happened? What happened on this guy? So we got the pullback down to 203. So we got close to 22. I mean 03. And then my stop loss hit 214. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. But it was a couple dollars. But the idea that's just kind of an idea. I was showing the idea behind it. So we're probably gonna get 22. But again, you can also think of it this way too. We have downtrend right here. So until this downtrend breaks, we're bearish for now. Short term, very short term bearish. With daily resistance at this point, prior history of resistance here, yeah. So it makes sense that was a decent short idea. Let's see. ITP 47 sold. Let's take a look at that one. That one was interesting. It got some news. It didn't make a big run. I was kind of interested to see if it would make a bigger run. But yeah, it hit 60 cents from mid 40s, and now it's back at 50. Interesting. But again, where did it hit the 50 SMA? That's an interesting spot. Hit that 50 SMA as resistance. It's been an area that we've been seeing resistance on stocks that are below it. At least the first area to kind of grind through. This one's probably going to get back in. If it comes down to like 40 cents again, I would say it's probably not a bad idea to jump back in. Okay, back to AMC. It bounced. Look at that VWAP bounce. So we didn't get stopped out, and we're leaving our last little bit in. ASTC is one that I've had on my watch list. I think I'm not in it, but I've had it for a little bit. Here it is, Astrotech. I've been on this one. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's nice. I think that's a nice one. I could definitely make sure I look at this one again. When I've got more cash available, I would take a look. I like it down towards $1 support. Looks pretty solid. And you got range up. I mean, you're talking about, you probably got at least like 40-cent range to the upside. This gap fill would be up to like $2 plus. Would be beautiful. Could probably fill it if we get good enough news. Yeah, it could do it. That could be a fun one. Let's see what else. Let's see. Amazon on tip ranks. They have some crazy price targets. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, look at these. All these buy ratings. These strong buys with 4,200 price targets, all indicating like 20 to 30%. That's incredible. That is insane. Look at all these analysts, and these are all top analysts too. These are all 5 stars. I mean, but again, is it that difficult to kind of guess that? And I wouldn't say guess, but is it that difficult to predict? No, it's difficult to predict that they can put these price targets out. The question is going to be when, right? What type of time frame are you eyeing for this? Are you saying, is it by the end of 2021, right? Is it in the next couple of years, right? I mean, I think it's probably a guarantee that these numbers are hit. It's just when. So if you're playing options, you can try to fight that battle, and if you're correct in terms of your time frame, you'll get paid for it. But if you're just buying shares, you get a much higher success rate, I think, on it. I would stack this one in the IRA and just literally just not even think about it personally. Let's see. I have to log that technically because that PLTR technically was a day trade idea. It was green, but whatever. Okay, this one, I wonder if you can even get shorts on it. I'm curious. I'm not going to do it. I wonder if you can even get it. Let's say you wanted to get like a 100 shares short on this guy. Is there even availability? Looks like there is. Wow, you can. KTRA, you can short. Interesting. On Webull, you can. I'm not going to do it, but we are getting to a time period. It is the number one gainer, and after yesterday on PIRS, it's an iffy play. But if you have a tight stop on it, it might not be a terrible idea. Maybe I do that into the next few minutes. And man, we're getting close to 11 a.m. Eastern. So generally things start to slow down. If this one gets back up towards that 225, which would put it up towards, we have resistance on it, 230s, 250-ish. Ideally 250 would probably be a better short area if you wanted it. But the news isn't crazy, I don't think. It's not like it was positive phase 3. Which NBRV was positive phase 3 yesterday, and it's pulled back quite a bit. Okay, so let's see. NBRV, is it still in our little... yeah, it's still setting up in a range here. Not a terrible idea for a move to VWAP-ish. I would say $2 plus. PLTR was so strong last week with the week. Yeah, that is good. I like to see that on PLTR. Mara got a PT upgrade. Let's take a look at that. Let's look at Mara. Mara got a PT upgrade. My AMC stop loss. Okay, it's fine. That was still a decent day. Decent trade, like a full $1 plus off my entry. Mara, we got a recent target out from yesterday of $47, which indicates massive upside. And from 2 weeks ago, 95. The problem with these, though, right? The problem, Mara, is that you're relying on Bitcoin, and yes, we can get a pretty big move. If we look at the chart on tip ranks here, it's got a pretty good rating. It's pulled back quite a bit, and it's holding up roughly at $20. I think it's a pretty good swing idea. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, it's a good idea, I would say. But again, if Bitcoin decides to fall back off again and, everything kind of goes downhill again, yeah, then Mara's probably going to follow with it. So yeah, we've been talking about it as a good swing idea for a while, and it seems like everything keeps kind of falling off. But I think we're getting to a good point on it personally that could be worth a shot. NEO also is another one. If you look at price targets from analysts on NEO, you got a lot of good ones as well. You're talking about, a lot of these indicating, 20, 30, 50, 90% upside, 75% upside from the current levels. And these are all top analysts, or at least 3-star or better. So NEO, I have in the long term. I'm not even worrying about that one. So it is what it is. I'm kind of leaving that one out to do its thing. CEI went green. Look at that. CEI went green on the day. Interesting. I have a bad average on it, but I'm not really worried about it. I'll add more heavier down towards 50 cents if we get it. But if we don't, we don't. PIRS just fell below $4. So my short is still working, I guess, even though took a pretty nasty hit yesterday, which I'll be talking about tomorrow. Another thing about long-term shares, build on pullbacks for Amazon. Yes, that's a great idea, I think. Just if you get any pullbacks, market's super red one day or for 1 week or Amazon's down, I would be buying it. Also, Amazon had the great earnings and they pulled back off the earnings, so I think it's a decent time. BTC is the key for Mara. Yeah, for sure. And Riot, same thing for Riot, pretty much the same thing. Crazy day, it's up 12%. Actually, now I think about it, this is not a terrible short because we've done it before, right? Nothing against it, nothing against Mara. I like it long, right? I do. But from my, at least, experience with Mara Riot, generally they get up to like 12 to 15, 20% upside is like their cap, at least the past couple of weeks. Now, okay, we have to watch Bitcoin if you wanted to short it. And if you're going to short it, right, be careful. And you only want to be shorting this thing when it's super overextended. And you maybe look for a target to VWAP, which at the current moment, right, if you're looking to short Mara, for example, just for an intraday idea, you go from right where it's at to VWAP is currently offering up like almost 4%. I'd say VWAP pushes up. You look for a short from where it's at down to like 25. So you're looking for like almost a 2% move. It's not a terrible idea for a day trade, just for a simple day trade. Not a terrible idea. Like the same thing like on PLTR. Where's PLTR? Right, we had the idea where it was, okay, pull back here down to VWAP. It didn't get there, but it got to 22 exactly. Whole support level, whole dollar area. And now it broke back up over this downtrend. So now it's back to the upside. So not too shabby. FAMI is one that I like. I have a buy at 41. I want to see this one coming. To be honest, it's kind of setting up on a beautiful cup and handle. So if for those who are not familiar, take a look at this, right? We have it offering, pushes on up. Guess what? We have this cup, right? See this little cup right here, like a little like mug shape. Think about that, right? This little bottom bowl cup, and then here's your handle on the mug. And what a very bullish pattern generally is you get this kind of pullback handle and then a massive move up from there, which the anticipation, it's a mushroom play, psychedelics. So the anticipation is that we get a gap fill up towards a 50 SMA, which will put it up to 80 cents. That's like 100% upside or just below 100% upside from the current levels. I'm not looking for that much. I'm looking to buy more on dips if we get it. But if it starts to make a move, I wouldn't be opposed to adding in more. I actually had, originally 3,000. I trimmed some off on this little push up. Looking to buy more on, if I can get a dip down to 41, that'd be great if I can. If I can't, it's what it is. I'll write it up. But that is that. I'm looking to also sell covered calls on my VISL position. I think it's setting up. It's looking really good. I think $2 a port is pretty solid on it. And it's trying to break out of this downtrend roughly. So I want to sell covered calls on it. The problem is I need a nice green day for it. So I'm looking to sell $5 covered calls. Looking at that now, probably not going to be able to do so for June, to be honest. Maybe I got to go out to like July. And that might be a better idea. But even still, I'm looking at July $5 covered calls, maybe selling like six of them or something like that. That's over 100% upside from the current levels. But I want to get like a day where VISL has some news and it pops to like 250 plus, because I don't think the 250 covered calls aren't really worth it in my eyes, to be honest, unless I really loaded the boat at like $2, which I didn't really do. I didn't buy too much down there. To be honest, I always want to make sure that held support, and so now is not a terrible time to buy. So if I'm going to buy covered calls, what I'll do is if we get a dip or a pullback day, I'll buy some more VISL. Even today, even it's up 2%, it's not that bad. I'll buy some more VISL, and then I'll immediately sell some covered calls, right? I'm ideally looking for like $5 cover calls, but I want a green day. So they have the premiums on these are trading between 10 and 5 cents, which would mean that if I got 10 cents, if I got the ask, I would get $10 per contract to essentially put a sell at $5 to cap my gains at 5 for however many contracts, I do. I don't really want to do that at 10 cents. I would want to do that if it pushes up, I can get like 15, 20 cents, then that's where I think it's worth it in my eyes, personally. But we'll see. We will see. Why would you short any? No, yeah, that's the thing. You have to look at Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the intraday on it, let's take a look at the 5 minute and see how it's doing. Yeah, it's bottomed out and bouncing on up. But yeah, I'd say you have to follow that. I wouldn't do it right now, but generally what I've done in the past is a simple kind of rule of thumb is that Mara Riot, they're up, 12, 15%. Generally has been a decent short back to like VWAP. Has been in the past. I've done it before a couple times watching Bitcoin. Obviously, if Bitcoin's not making massive strides up intraday or at the current moment, generally just a healthy pullback. These things like this one, for example, Mara, a healthy pullback, $25. We'll see. I'm not going to do it, but watch if it gets a pullback to like $25. It's not a bad idea for a short from here, from the highs, with a stop maybe right above the highs. So you're going to risk maybe like 20 cents up for 40 cent downside. That's a decent risk reward. That's how I would see it. OCA, we are starting to get some rumors on a potential, who they're going to go public with, but I mean, still waiting on them to go. It's a cash park. I have cash just tied up in OCA, and I'm waiting for them to drop news on, hey, who we take in public through a SPAC. That's what we're waiting for on them. And once we get that news, I'm looking for a spike, and then I'll be taking my profits on the spike. That's it. So I believe, right? I just double check. I don't know if I haven't checked in on them in a little bit. But we got related no, we want press releases. Yeah, so we're waiting on the news from them. Still, it's a patience play. Patience. VISL, I think they have five product launches planned for this coming year, and with reopenings and everything, it's somewhat of a reopening play, as there'll be more events they'll be taking on and stuff. So they have a bunch of, I believe, military contracts as well. They have in the background, which is great, but nothing crazy value-wise. But they have a bunch of products planning to be launched this year, and with more events and stuff. That's my thought process on VISL. So we'll see. I like it down towards $2. I've liked it for a little bit, and after it pushed to 5, the thing is the earnings on it wasn't anything incredible. Also, comms is like a 5G play, so I like comms for a 5G play going forward. I don't have a crazy big position there. In both of them, I don't have crazy large positions. I like ELYS was my biggest position. I think it still is. I believe ELYS. Sports betting, also the expansion to the U.S. markets. That's huge, I think, for them. Super low market cap trading. I think they're half the market. They have half the market cap in cash or something like that. So that I have FRX. Where is that? I have that in my IRA. I like that one a lot. Beachbody. Patiently for the merger. Yep. I like that one. TTO also is one that I definitely have been. It's been on my radar actually. If you look at the daily chart on it, it's bottomed out very nicely right here, down to like $1 on TTOO. That's not a bad spot. Got a little bit of action yesterday, a little bit of action today so far, kind of off the bottom. But your downside is like $1. I would say, $1, I would cut it if it can't hold $1 and look for re-entry below that. But if it does hold $1, you got room up to like 140 plus pretty easily. I think it could get there, especially on news. This thing can run pretty hard. And we're seeing the news is starting to work a little bit better. ASXC is pushing up now. This has been a steady grinder today. What do we got? ASXC. Let's look at the news on this one again. Yeah, but we're seeing a much better, I would say, across the board for the market right now. I wonder why ASXC is pushing up. Let me see if I can find anything else on it. See if we got any insider buying. I'll pull up on the side. No, nothing at least lately. And then maybe SEC filings. Or it could be a sympathy play. Nothing that I can see, at least as of right now. No, nothing that I can see. That's interesting. 3D printing stocks, those have been oversold for a little bit. NNDM, right? What is yeah, look at that. NNDM getting a little curl back on up. $8 will be the first area of 50 SMA at 750 and $8 will be decent resistance to watch for. But let's see. Curious how TCAT. So the NFT names are pulling back. That's why I don't like trading TCAT, to be honest, personally. But unless you're getting in early, unless you're buying dips on it. XPV going nuts. Let's pull up these. So the EVs. I have an EV watch list too. I can pull that up. XPV up 7%. Wow, look at that. Daily chart on it at the 50 SMA. So it could get it could be some resistance here. But let's pull up the EVs. They're all green. Every single EV is green. Wow. LI is green. FUV is up 20%. That could have been a really nice swing for people who are paying attention. KNDI is even green. Workhorse is down to $8. That's crazy, but that's green. Solo is down. That's pushing up. Hyliion's up 7%. What do we got? Neo's up 3%. Gonna have some resistance right here on Neo. Tesla's back over 600. Tesla looks pretty good, I think, for a move to 700 plus. FSR is up. I can probably sell covered calls today on FSR for this week. I don't think I've done that yet. That's my routine. Whenever FSR is green, I sell a covered call. Any more day trades? Let's see. Anything that looks promising. Let's take a look. This NBRV doesn't look terrible, although it's just kind of consolidating and try. This could be one that I look at here right now. Let's see, ASXC. If anything, I'll be looking short on this one. But then again, I don't really know what's driving it, to be honest. So I don't really want to mess with that one. But usually, if I can't find any news on it, generally it's not a terrible idea to go short. We also have some prior support up around $3. So if it got close to $3, I would probably say that's a better idea on that one. What else do I have left in here? That is WWR is another one that's up a little bit today. I like this one a lot. Graphite play. I think we're going to see these start pushing on up. We're seeing kind of gold, silver, some of those stocks pushing up as well. I don't have any of them right now. As of right now, I think Goro, Goro, is one that I would probably go to, or LODE, but it's up a little bit, so I don't like it right here. But Goro is good, I think. A couple days ago, it could have got this thing closer to 250, which would have been ideal. Under 275 is probably okay. I just haven't been paying close enough attention to it. It's on my watch list. That's all I've been noticing on it. But that's really that. So the only day trade idea that I like right now would be NBRV. If I could find, we can look up ASXC. Let's see if we can find something on Twitter. So let's do like ASXC, and let's see if we can find anything on this guy. Why is it up? If anyone knows, that'd be awesome. So let's see. Oh, they got a PT upgrade? Buy. Oh, let's look at tip ranks on that one. Okay, ASXC. What do we got? Is that true? Today, price target of $4. Okay, so this is not a bad short idea. Now that I'm looking at this. Okay, we have a price target of 4. 16 million procedures, significant market opportunity. Projects total revenue will reach 679 million in 2030 though. That's the thing. That's a 10-year projection. So this is a short, I think. This is a short. Do we do it? I wonder if there's even shares. Can we even get a short? Let's see if we can even get it. That's not an expensive short at all. And we just grab 100. So we'll see. I'll do 200. I'll start with I can do more than that, but let's do it. So here's the idea. We'll do this. We'll take this guy short, and we'll stop loss at roughly $3. So I'll look to add to my short here until we hit 3, and then at that point I would cut it. So I'm going to risk 25 cents on the short idea. That's really that. Let's see what we can do. Interesting. I think that I have done quite well on shorts on PT upgrades where the stock already gets a nice run. Now this could go a lot more, so we can look at FinViz and just make sure we're careful. We're not going to go massive again, but we'll start grabbing some and we'll average in, right? If it does push a little bit higher. High of the day shorts are not bad. 50 SMA, it's breaking above. This is a pretty big float, so it's not a super fast mover. It's already a 475 million market cap, which should be pushing on up. Their income is god awful. We have to look a little bit deeper into that, but that's all it is. It's a $4 price target upgrade. Not a bad spot for a target, but generally speaking, on no news, no actual underlying news, generally that doesn't work out that well in my experience. This is generally a short, but it's the question is, when do you take that short? When do you finally get that collapse of the trend? So we're kind of still holding trend, so we have to look at this now. Let's see. Yes, it's not perfect, but roughly speaking, we can draw something like this. Let's see if I can extend this trend line a little bit better. It's super steep too, which is generally usually a good idea, a good sign for a short idea. So we want to see this thing cracking down below like 265, and under 265, we have VWAP support just below that, which will probably be pushing up to like 260-ish. And then if it cracks VWAP, it probably comes down pretty decent. So let's see. What we'll do here is I grabbed 300, and if it pushes on up, I'll take another one. And then I'll add a little bit more into that, but I don't like to go in big on the shorts. So there's no need to go in big. We're not just, especially today, I've had a green day, so I've, already locked in a nice trade on AMC. Nice trade. I did trade DYAI. I traded NBRV for a small and got stopped out for a small gain, but that was that. So let's see. This is holding higher lows, but at some point you're getting to that lunch hours, you're getting to that midday period. Generally speaking, this is a time when this type of news doesn't hold up anymore. The only problem would be that there isn't really a stock that has stolen the volume. So NBRV, this could be one if you're looking for an idea to go long. NBRV could be a good one. I would stop out under the low. Maybe you give it down to like 180, so you're going to risk 8 cents here for a target up to VWAP. So you're going to risk 8 cents for like a 12-cent gain. It's not bad, 12 plus 15-cent gain. It's not bad. So NBRV could be a really good opportunity for a day trade right now, but just make sure you keep a tighter stop there. Don't let this thing fall down to like 175 when your target was $2, right? So your target's $2, you're looking for a 13-cent gain, and if your stop loss is 180. You're going to risk 7 cents. So you got like just about a double reward to risk ratio, which is generally good. That's at least what I would say on that one. So let's see. ASXC, I have an average just about 274. So I'm not going to add to this one unless it gets back up over 280. Then I would add a little bit more, but we're going to see what's going to happen on this one. I can almost guarantee. I've seen it too many times. You might get, because we got the PT upgrade, right, which came earlier today, so this is why it popped. But yesterday, this is a $2 stock. So sure, could it stay elevated? Yes, but I think a 250 area is probably realistic. I think 250 would be my target on this one, which is below VWAP, I understand. But I think by the end of the day, we could probably see 250 on it. I would say a pullback down to that level, just because there isn't really news on it right now to drive it to a $4 PT. And you see these price targets get put out. And this is also a really good sign for small caps in general, because when we've been seeing in the past price target upgrades, nothing happens. It's just dead. Now we're seeing price target upgrades and the stocks are pushing up, which is good, generally speaking, for small caps. But I just haven't had great success. Short float is 5.45. Not many shorts really in it, seemingly. So I would imagine shorts would probably hammer this thing, to be honest. I would think at some point. I'm going to set a sell. I'm going to set a short for like, I'm going to do two more. I'll do a 297. If it ever gets there, I'll just set it now ahead of time in case these the shorts get reserved ahead of time. And then that would be my stop loss, right? So I stop myself out if it goes over 3. And that's, risking, so ideally it's not the best risk reward. It's like a even risk reward, although this isn't the best news generally. So I think it's a decent idea. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's pushing up as we speak. So maybe we can start snagging a little bit more just to snag something. Grab a couple more. That's how I usually generally average into the shorts. I like to short them into the highs of the day and then pull backs to VWAP generally. But as long as you keep your stop, you don't let something like this just blow you out, right? So that's the concern. I just want to make sure I don't have that happen to me, which is generally, this is one that I honestly could be one that you may even I may put a stop loss on it at some point over $3. We'll see how it plays out in the next few minutes. And then if it hits it. And if not, I'll move my stop down, and I'm looking to target that 250-ish area, roughly. So that's that. But yep, let's see. VISL is up almost 4%, so I got a little bit of volume here on VISL. That's good to see. I like to see that, but I want to see more, ideally. ASXC, let's do a 93. I'll do another 50 at 93. This way, you want to make sure that you're bringing your average up decently in terms of this guy, so that you don't end up having to have this thing, if it does dip, right? We don't want this to dip down to like 275 and that be where, it bounces, right? We want to make sure that we can get a decent dip, significantly, at least to a degree, lower than our average. So these are not terribly difficult to play short. It's just that if they really catch, and this thing wants to go crazy, it could. It's not a super low float though, which is interesting. It's moving like it kind of is. 33 million volume, which is a decent amount of volume. Let's see. Let's see, what else do we have? Without real news, they all fall. That's the thing. This could even be a swing short. I mean, I don't want to swing stuff short overnight with the possibility of news, right? But when you start with when you don't go in huge, it allows you the ability to average in. Like if this thing went nuts and went over 3, technically I could not stop myself out, add to my position over 3. I would imagine this thing pulls back pretty substantially. So we'll see. Hard to borrow rate is 2%. So, I mean, I don't care. That's fine with me. Let's see. Let me just see if let me get 50 more. If it comes up a little bit higher, I want to make sure I get something else. Then I'll leave that 100 at the 97 if it does get up to 297. If it does, great. Not, whatever. But, yeah, this is not really substantial news. So that's where I'd like to put my money on shorts like this. Shorts like yesterday on PIRS, yeah, there's a big lesson on that one because it had decent news. So this isn't news. This is a guy projecting, right? Again, on this stock, projecting a $4 price target, which potentially is manipulation as it is, right? And who knows? And then they're looking at revenue to reach $697 million. Now we can just have some fun on this guy and take a look at their recent revenues because I'd be curious to see. Let's take a look at their first quarter revenues. What do we got? Let's see. Do we have anything? Cash runway into 2024, cool, but that can also be BS. Let's see. Do we even have any? Are there even any numbers here? Do we have any numbers? Okay. Revenue of 2.1 million compared to 0.6 in 2020. So revenue was up, but it's 2 million. Okay, so revenue is 2 million. Market cap here is 475 million, which is extending as we speak. Seems like a decent idea to me for the short side of things. Seems like a decent idea to me. Let me just make sure that I can grab a little bit more because I think we can get it a little bit more on it right here. But ultimately, we want to see this trend line crack at some point. It's still very strong, but at some point, this probably cracks and fades quite well. H.C. Wainwright, King Pumper. That is also the thing that I've noticed too with them. A lot of times they increase their price targets on stocks, right? Just so that they can be the underwriter for the offering, right? In a sense. So like they'll underwrite a lot of these offerings and they'll get, they'll get a fee, right, on that. And so H.C. Wainwright runs this bad boy up. It's up 40% on a price target upgrade. That's a good sign for the market in general, but that's also kind of BS, right? It's fluff. It's fluff news. Fluffy news. So let's see how this one plays out. It is still strong. Wow, I'm surprised it's holding up as well. But we'll see. It will be hilarious, right? is a company's like, and I've seen it happen before. I wouldn't be surprised if this company does the same thing. They say that they have a cash runway through 2024, but they get a pump of 40%. They do an offering. I'm curious if they even have one on file. I'll look it up on the side. ASXC. I'm curious if they even have one on if they have an S3 on file or something like that. Automatic shelf registration. So they have an S3 on file, so they can do an offering. And what do we got? How large could it be? Let's take a look. Does it say? Prospectus out on the 19th of May, so about like a week ago, roughly. Well, let me see. That would be hilarious. They say they got cash in 2024, and then they do up to $100 million of common stock. So they can do a $100 million offering. Generally, I wouldn't want to be long this thing up 40% when they can do a $100 million offering. So let's see. Let's hit that 97, and let's get that. Let's get those couple. Get that 500 shares short would be a decent number, and then we'll see. I mean, ideally, the average I have isn't great, to be honest, but I still see a decent downside from where it's at. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get it. But we'll be watching this guy. At least that's in the back burner. We'll watch that. If that short area hits, great. If not, we'll write it down from there. Average isn't great, but we can hopefully bring it up with that hitting, but we'll see. Number one gainer, though, so it's got the most attention, at least on it right now. Let's see what's active. In terms of volume, let's take a look at what we have in terms of what's got the most volume right now. Give it a second to load up. AMC, Ford, SNDL, NBRV, PIRS are the top ones. ASXC is up there as well, but nothing to the degree that we're seeing with other stocks. And I don't know. I just nothing against the company. I just don't see that this holds there the rest of the day. But we'll see. Not going to pull the go to the gym move on this one like I did with PIRS yesterday and forget about it, but we'll watch it. We will watch it. WWR holding up. AREC. AREC has been another tough swing, at least in my... Oh, it's at a good spot. I like it right here. 200 SMA seems like it's a good spot in my eyes for AREC. I like this one, a rare earth play. Recent partnerships and expansions and with partnerships with college campuses. Purdue, Penn State, I believe, as well, which is cool, kind of cool. We like GMBL too. Yeah, I like I like this one as well. I didn't take an entry. This would have been a good spot. The 200 SMA would have been really good, I think, on that prior area back in here of consolidation. So that would have been nice. This has more range. Very similar chart to ELYS. So I like that one as well. This can get up to $20. Friday, I'm thinking $13 Yeah, 50 SMA is just around there as well. It's probably not a bad spot. All right, let's see what we can get on this bad boy right here. I think we got some significant resistance up a little over $3 if we get over 3. So I don't see this thing going much over 3. I see this trend cracking at some point, but to a degree, we also have now on ASXC, you got the number one gainer status. So until you have something else that takes over the number one gainer status, this is probably where a lot of the volume's at, to be honest. You have a bunch of the meme stocks playing Express, EXPR is holding up quite well, but I don't think enough to steal the show. Here, look, KTRA, and this is one that we were looking at as well, had news on phase 2-3 clinical trials, but not like positive results news. It just had some kind of update. It wasn't great news, and it was up quite a bit, and it's pulled back massively off the highs. From the secondary high here, we've got a pullback here of over 20%. That's crazy. That's the type of move that I'm expecting at some point here on ASXC. I'm expecting like a 20%. Well, it's up 40%, but I can certainly see a 10-20% pullback, which would put you a 10% pullback would put you roughly that 250. So I'm looking for 250 ideally by the end of the day is what I'm looking at. So if we get that, great, right? But we'll watch it. So ideally what I'm going to do is if it cracks the trend, great. And then eventually I'll just put a stop loss on it. And I'll put a stop on it at a certain point and then bring the stop down over time if I'm going to walk away or whatever. So this way, worst case scenario, right? It's break even or, it's slightly green. I don't lose on a trade like this, and I move on. That's one of the biggest things that I've had an issue with is is, you can get consistent, and I have been quite consistent the past, swings I've been for swings have been great for the past couple of years, but even day trades the past month, I've been very consistent. Even the market's been slow in weeks past. It's getting hotter for small caps. But the issue is that I had massive losses that would kill gains, right? So even when I had a good day, even if I was green, I would have a massive loss here and there on the week, which I just can't allow that to happen. And that's the biggest thing. You do that, you can increase that margin of being green. You can be green more than often than not, but the question is dollar amount, right? Will that match up? Because are your losses massive and are your winners tiny? You don't want that to be you don't want that mismatch. So it's coming down. It's coming down. I wish it hit that. It hit 294. If it hit 297, I would have been nice. It would have grabbed the extra 100 shares. I'd been really nice, but it is what it is. All today's ASXC buyers. I don't think, now this is not something that I'm hammering, and massively shorting, right? But I think this is going to pull back quite a bit. And it would just be hilarious if they did an offering in the after hours. Send HC Wainwright in, drop that price target upgrade, get the attention on the stock. It's up 40%. Great. Let's drop an offering hard on them and raise cash. Even though we got a cash runway to 2024. It's all BS, these companies. And I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them play the same games where cash runway to 2024, cash runway here, cash runway there. Doesn't mean anything, right? Could help, could give you some good hints. If the stock's bottomed out, that's probably a good sign. They're probably not going to offer on a bottomed out stock as it is. They could, probably not though. And so then, once it gets a spike, offering's coming, guaranteed. So that's why I would be very surprised if PIRS, if they have an S3 on file, if they don't do an offering this week, I'd be very surprised. But they might not. But if they do, that thing is coming down to back to the ad where it started this week, which would be kind of a shame, right? After getting that much momentum. But I mean, it probably comes back down to $2 in the next month. Question is, if they do the offering, it'll come down a lot sooner rather than later. Unless they get some more news. I mean, I don't know. They could get some more news, I guess. All right, so what I would do here on ASXC, it's at my average. If it pops again, it's still roughly holding the trend, roughly. Pops again, I'll short that next 100 shares. If it pops again, roughly, that's what I would do. Roughly, the idea. How does NBRV doing? So this is falling below that 180. Yeah, that's not great. It didn't look great. I didn't take it because I just personally didn't like that too much. After it had kind of fallen off. At some point, this is not a terrible play. They had positive phase 3 results. I mean, only up 20% when you have a price target upgrade from some guy at HC Wainwright sending a stock up 40%. That makes no sense. I would think that NBRV would be a higher percentage gainer than ASXC. It was at one point, but it's weird. Look at this. Look at this absolute trend crack. It's going to just sewer on down. Okay, so what I could do here, and I think we can see more downside, but what I'm going to do just to make sure we can lock in something on it, and then I'll eventually put a stop on it. Let's do a 266. That's VWAP. I'm going to just buy 100 back. So that's right here. That's a VWAP area. Let's just do that. We're going to get VWAP. It might bounce very nicely off of VWAP. Great. My average didn't get up enough to the point where I would want to take full profits here. And I think we can get more downside. So if that happens, great. That's 10 cents. Cool. 10 cents. Now you do 10 cents on, percentage-wise, to do the math on what that actually is percentage-wise. From the average to where the VWAP is, that's 4%. It's pretty darn good for a day trade. I think we can get more on it. I think we can get more. So I'm going to hold it for some more. What is TTOO doing? Oh, wow, look at that. Up 8% today. Can it get over yesterday's highs of that 128? Can it get there? Let's see. It's getting a lot more action, though, now off the bottom. Look at that dip this morning down to 112. It's up, nice, very nice off that bottom. Up, 12 cents off the lows, off of even more now, 13 cents off the lows. It's nice. This is an example, though, right here, I think. What I would like to see is roughly kind of try to hold up on a VWAP for a little bit, and then eventually you crack VWAP and you come to 250. So let me just start putting those I'll put another one there. I'll put a 200 buy there for the position size that we at. I'll do a 251. Just so I get filled before the 250 area. And we'll leave that for now, and then I might change that order around later, but took profit on TTO. Well, that's that's like that 10% move from the morning. No complaints on that. PLAG is popping up. I think the CEO bought like 1.3 million shares or something like that. So this is not a bad idea. Also, was bottomed out quite well. At some point, it's going to pull back. I just don't really want to mess with it. It's got plenty of range if it wants to catch on. Is a CEO buying that many shares really the news that's going to send it to $5? No. But could it, if it catches volume? Sure, we're seeing a lot more volume come back into small caps, so I wouldn't mess with the short on this one. Generally on that news, when you got a price target upgrade from H.C. Wainwright, now that's the news that I would short, which we're seeing right now. Let's see if we get that fill. First profit will be taken. 4% on that. Let's see if we get it. Any second. Now looking back, man, I could have gotten, if I was a little bit more patient on the entry, I could have gotten an entry closer to like, 285, which would have been beautiful. But also with that 400 share short, right? I'm not going in massive on these shorts, but I leave myself room if I absolutely had to double my position, if the thing spiked, I could double it, pulls back, I get out for like closer to break even. That's kind of why I like to leave them small. And then if I have to do it, I can always add to it if I really have to get out, NBY is a prior, last year was a pretty good play quite a few times. NBY down here at the bottom, let's see. Yeah, 60 cent lows, 61 cent lows. Not bad at all. 50 cent, I think worst case scenario, this thing comes to like 50 cents, but it's trying to bottom out here roughly. So you could probably get a move up to back to like 80 cents. Pretty doable, I would say, on NBY. 75, 80 cents is pretty doable on that one from where it's at right now. I mean, news could send it even more, but that's not bad. AMPG is a little perky today. AMPG. See if we can get, it's a low float there. AMPG actually, I think it's super low float. What do we got? Let's see. We got a 2.5 million float. AMPG drops any good news, this thing is going to go crazy. That's why I'm slowly averaging in, accumulating some more on the dips. So plan on that one. UWMC is pushing up. I want to see this thing make a push to $9. That's what I want to see. I think we can get more than that, but I want to see UWMC push. But I want to get out of this, to be honest. It's like such a slow. I'd rather play something else in terms of this is a good play, I think. Grab it here and just hold it for a longer term. Good company. Love the CEO. They pay a dividend. I think it's a decent long-term play in the real estate sector. If you like that, if you're bullish on real estate. All right, so we got the first target has hit on ASXC. Okay, VWAP has hit. First target has hit. Now we're looking for 250. VWAP cracks. You're going to probably get a very nasty red candle down pretty hard. So we'll see if it can look at this. Here it is. As I'm saying it, this could be nasty. Maybe it may bounce as well, right? But roughly speaking, the momentum has died on this guy, and I would not be surprised if within a few minutes this is no longer the number one gainer on the day, which it's got PDLB beat by like 5%. I don't think it's going to hold up. Don't think it will hold up. But let's see. Yeah, it's getting pretty nasty candle. So I want like 10 more cents down, and then that'll be my target there. So it's fairly stress-free. Originally, yeah, we were down on it, but we averaged in. Fairly stress-free, I think, on that one. I could have gone bigger. Wish, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? But again, at the same time, right, on a play like this, right, if I'm looking for a 25-cent move from my average on 400 shares, what's that? That's $100. So that's, realistically, you don't need a crazy amount of money to make $100 a day trading these small caps. Now, obviously, you're going to have your losses, you're going to have your wins, but realistically speaking, right, now you think about how you can really make a lot of money. You do this, your account grows, you size up. Now that 400 becomes 4,000. Now that you're making, 400, you're making, what is it, like $1,000, whatever it is, just like that, So, okay, I'm out. Going to the beach. OMI is up a lot. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure what's going on here. Owens and Minor. Their healthcare play. I wonder what they got going up. This is an interesting one as well because you're up 20% on a little bit of a larger cap stock, I would imagine, right? What is the market? We can look at the market cap in a second. It probably tells us here. Let's see. Market cap of 2.9. It's a $3 billion market cap, and you have resistance up here at like 39, in which you pretty much hit $40. Yeah, this is like that Dillard's short that I've taken before in the past. I think this is probably not a bad idea to go from here where it's at right now to VWAP, which would be 38, but you can probably even if you get VWAP to crack, you can probably get down to like 37-ish, I would say. 37.50, even 36.50 is now the question. It would still be up quite a bit on the day. I just want to like look at the news on that one. I'm not really interested. It's a super slow mover, so I'm not really really interested in that one, but yeah, it's very similar to the play that I had on Dillard's, I think, a couple times last week. So we will see. Well, we'll keep an eye on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if it falls off, though. Kern is pushing up today. Kern is one of the cannabis plays. It's got a lot of volume. Look at AMC. I got stopped out under VWAP. Look at that. It's going to hit $20. That was a good trade, though, this morning. I can't complain. From 17.35 up to over 18 it was good. I can't complain on that one. Let's see. What else do we have? PDLB. Not going to mess with that. Low volume. EXPR Express. Because you got your GME still pushing up. You got your AMC. 250 is resistance on GameStop. It's probably not a terrible idea for... Yeah, wow, look at this. I'm curious. I wonder if GameStop will make a bigger run. But 250 is resistance for right now. So we'll see. If it goes nuts, that would be crazy to see. But this is kind of stealing the show for today. Interesting. So here's our stress-free trade now on ASXC. We don't have to do anything. We are just letting it slowly drain and fall off. And we're probably going to get a bounce at some point. This is pretty much a continuous pullback. We'll probably get a bounce, and it may even, if it bounces back up close to my average, I may even add back in short and look for another dip back to VWAP and below. But I think 250 is a pretty good target in my eyes on a PT upgrade, so we'll take that. Dick's Sporting Goods is up to here, almost $100 today. Wow, it's a pretty good move on Dick's. They must have had some good news. Look at that. Look at that trend on Dick's. Wow. Beautiful. After the highs pre-pandemic, this thing is up. You know, if you bought Dick's pre-pandemic and just didn't even look at it, like, you know, a year and a half, almost a year and a couple months later, you're up 100%. Now, if you bought Dick's post-pandemic drop, you are up like 300%. So you're really having fun. Let's see, what else do we have going on? UWMC, come on, make a push, please. Please, anytime, any day. Look at this guy, ASXC. Let's see if we'll get it. Well, we got some buyers, actually. The 258, we got some buyers at 255, 253. It might take a little bit to grind through those guys. Realistically, I could probably put I'll let it slowly drain out. What we got on GME? 250. If it gets over 250, this could ignite the fires. I mean, we're seeing AMC pushing up still. We're seeing all these guys pushing up. I don't know what to think. Is it worth it? I mean, there's an AMC cult. Like, it is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I can't believe what I've seen like with the AMC cult. But there is a crazy cult behind AMC. So I'm kind of curious. If you were to buy, like, let's say like July. Let's go to like July 2nd, like puts. What are they going to cost you? They're going to cost you like $5 for $19 puts for July on AMC. That's pretty, I don't know. What's the implied volatility? 189%. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to think. I would think, like, if anything, I would go out a couple months for some puts, because this could pull back. The reality behind AMC, right? It could. I mean, I'm not going to do it now. I'm not going to do it, but it could pull back to like $12 like that. So if you had like $19 puts, they're going to be worth, right, at least $7, you know, and that could happen in a couple of days. But I just don't want to be messing with it now. What if AMC goes to like $50 this week? I don't know. You know, I don't want to be screwed on those puts. Maybe if you wanted to buy lottery tickets, like if you wanted to buy one of them, but even that isn't really worth it, right? If you bought a $12 put at like 120, pay $100, get a $12 put out for July, and maybe if it dips down to like 15 or even goes to $12 in the next like month in June, if it happens in June, maybe you double your money, so maybe make $100, right? Maybe you triple your money. I don't know. Just the Colt is super strong though, so I wouldn't fight the Colt, to be honest. I wouldn't fight it. I don't know how anyone couldn't be bullish on real estate. That's the thing. I am so surprised on why UWMC is not higher. I can't believe it. But right, the market's going to do what the market wants to do. ASXC is coming right on down to our 250. I got 257 now. It's just steady selling pressure ever since we got close to that $3. So that's why I like to sell if I'm taking profits, if I'm long, if I'm short, right? I don't like to let's say I put my, sell at $3. If I was riding this one up, I'm not going to get filled. You're going to get, that's why I like the 3s and the 7s generally are my areas I like to look at. So maybe I could put this at, 253 realistically, right? But if I look at the level 2, right? I know it's small, but there's a pretty big buyer here on ASXC at 250. So that'll be as a $43,000 size right there. That's a pretty big buyer. So I want to make sure that I get filled before that buyer gets filled. And if he holds up as support, I want to make sure that I'm locking my gains in. So that's why I put my 251 buy on that to cover the short. Then I'll leave 100 shares and I'll probably put a stop loss on it, and I'll let those 100 shares just kind of drain out and maybe put a trailing stop, and that's it. I'll put the stop loss at VWAP, and then I'll let the rest ride for the day, and I'll just move it down. And worst case scenario, VWAP is at 265. So worst case scenario, I'm still green on those shares, but I'm not really, not too worried about it. A couple more cents. Maybe I'm greedy on a couple more cents, but we'll give it some time. It's a kind of a slow kind of grinder. Put it at 215. That's true. It could come down that far. I wouldn't be surprised. I would say 225 would be the next level I would be looking at. Probably 225-ish. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll leave 100 shares left just for fun. And then if it does fall to 225, it's an extra $25 that I can just not worry about and let it do its thing for the rest of the day. Check back in tonight and be like, hey, all right, we'll cover that last bit, and whatever it is, it is. All right. Let's see. Yep, and look at that. As I said, right, I didn't expect ASXC to be the number one gainer for long, and it is no longer. It's now the number 3. It's number 3 on the day. PDLB is up a higher, and then EXPR is that number one gainer on the day as of right now, with the meme stocks and the GameStops and running on up. So yeah, PIRS is down to 390 now, from hitting $6 in the after hours yesterday. Crazy move down. Just like they go up, they come back down. That will be a very fun video for tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. ASXC is why I don't full momentum. Exactly. Now, sometimes it's just crazy market, and that thing on a price target upgrade of $4 will hit intraday. Sometimes. But my experience is many times not. And the thing is, if you're riding that thing because you're playing ASXC off of a PT upgrade, if you're riding this thing, it might bounce right here. If you're riding this thing up, right, let's just think, as somebody who's just, the average person who sees an upgrade, oh my gosh, the stock's at $2. I'm going to buy it. It's got 100% upside. Cool. At the time, that sounds great. But the second you start seeing the trend line crack, or it starts pulling back significantly, like a pullback of 10 cents is okay, whatever. But if it pulls back 20 cents, 30 cents, oh my gosh, I got to get out. Whether you're green, red, doesn't matter. And so this hard pullback ends a lot of that momentum to the upside, I think. So we'll watch it. It's trying to bounce right here. It looks like the 255 is trying to hold up as support. We'll see. All it takes is somebody to hammer this thing, market sell or a big short to come in and hammer it from right here down to the 250. And we'll see if it happens. I think VWAP will hold up as resistance right now, but we're fine on it. We're 20 cents green on it. I'm not going to let it go green. I've already taken some profits, so it's like a free trade at this point. Express, I'm not touching this thing. I'll tell you right now. Express can go crazy. I'm not touching it up here though. Absolutely not. $5 is significant resistance. Over that, yeah, you got up to like 6 to 635 area. Yeah, maybe, but Could it go? Yeah, but I'm not touching that. That's all I'm gonna say on that guy. Look at Lee Automotive, or Lee Auto is now, a little bigger of a price stock, but this is now hitting up on our top gainer list on the day. It's up quite a bit. This could even be a short, to be honest with you. I mean, look at this trend. This is going to crack at some point and pull back, but when? Maybe you thought it happened back in here. Maybe you thought it happened here, but it hasn't. So, it's not something that I would. If you're going to get a short on it, if you're going to short just shares, that's not that bad. Your minimal risk here, right? You're going to risk like 20, $30 for probably like 50 to $100 gain, right? If you're playing with like 100 shares on it, maybe roughly. But yeah, it probably comes down at some point. I just don't know if I would want to be messing with them right here. You want to wait for like confirmation on this guy, probably, of the run to be over, and eventually it'll kind of ideally consolidate and then pull back. Maybe get a VWAP pullback. So $22 is a decent area right now. Shorting meme stocks is nuts. Yeah, you'll end up crying probably if you short, any meme stocks. What is this? FLYW? Oh, it's an IPO. Just went live. This could be fun to play, but I don't know. I have no idea anything about that one. Flywire. Cross-border payment solutions. Okay, cool. It could be, and those are also for crazy rides if you want to play IPOs. Now ASXC has regained the next, I guess, technically the number one gainer status, if you don't count FLYW. But I doubt ASXC comes much above VWAP, and if it does, I'll add to my short. And I'll just play it down again. And I think that there's a lot more downside there. At least 250. At least. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe if you want to short overnight, which it's not a expensive one. It's a 2% hard to borrow rate, which is essentially, you're paying like no fees on that thing to short those or to borrow those shares right now, at least. Okay, I'll take it, please. I'll take a couple of those, please. PIRS is come down quite a bit now. It's at 385 off of the $6 after hour touch yesterday. So let's see. This will be interesting to see. ASXC, how does VWAP handle it? How does it handle VWAP right here? I don't want to average down on the short. I already have, whatever. Let's see. I'll give it some time. Ideally, if it came back up to 275, I'd add to my short again. But that's that. UWMC is kind of grinding. Kind of. Crazy day. Yes, it is. With the meme stocks going, EXPR, could either go, $5 more from here, or it could pull back $1 like any second. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Pretty wild morning. Pretty wild. AMC has been up there as well. What do we got? AMC is kind of 1954. The reason I was looking at 1975 would be my target. If it doesn't hit $20, I wouldn't be surprised if 1975 hits roughly. But we'll see. We will see. What else is going on here? PDLB, there's not much volume. There's only 324,000 shares traded on this guy. Yet it's the number like 3 gainer, which is kind of crazy. OMI holding up quite well. This could be even a short too, I guess. If you're interested in taking something like that, would you stop at you put a stop loss at $40? So if you take, let's say you did 100 shares, let's say you're going to risk $40, to the downside, I guess, on your short. And I would say first target would be down here towards like 38.60, which would be VWAP, which would be $100 gain. So you're going to risk $40 to make 100. It's not bad, not a super low float. And as it pushes up towards 40, your risk, I guess, is smaller if you're going to keep that stop at $40. Maybe it breaks above. I don't know. I don't know that I haven't looked into the news though. So we'd have to look. I would look into the news before I did anything like that, if I was to. But just technically speaking, that's not a terrible idea. And if it kind of fades off the rest of the day, yeah, you get a decent downside. All right, let's see. ASA. Okay, let's just do 50. Let's do 50 more. I'm not going to go crazy. Just short 50 more. Seems like VWAP, there is some resistance at VWAP right now on this guy. So I don't imagine it getting back above it, to be honest. Yeah, it's coming back down. Come on. Let's see. I'll move this down to like 61. That'll hopefully that fills, and we'll get that little ad there. Cool. We got that. Now what I'll do is I'll do a buy, and I'll do 250 at 251. That's what I want to see, but 255 will be the first area that it's going to probably try to hold up. Let's see. Roblox up at night. That's nuts. That was a good play. I never took it, to be honest, but that was a good play. Thoughts on BNGO at 6? Let's take a look at that. BNGO. It's great. It's up 11%. We're seeing a pretty big push and a lot of growth today. A lot of tech names. EVs are doing really well. I think like every EV is up today. This is doing well. I don't know. I don't personally like BNGO personally, just because I've traded in the past. I would like to see them a lot lower if I was going to take an entry. Doesn't mean that it's not going to go up from here by any means. I personally don't feel comfortable with taking an entry at this point on BNGO, but that's just me. I would like it lower, and I would like, I just would like to see them handling their positions, their cash and stuff a little bit better for the next couple of months, couple of quarters before I would take a long in it, and it'd have to be pretty oversold for me to do that. But that's just me. Fisker close to, let's take a look at FSR. FSR is going to have some significant resistance up here at like 14 something. 1425 now. I mean, you got the 50 SMA and you have prior area of strong support. That's the resistance right there. But not a bad day to sell covered, for me to sell covered calls on it. Let's see. Yeah. Express is still pushing up, 510 now. Look at that. This is a really nice daily chart, or at least, looks nice if you were in from earlier. I'm still on some of the swings. I like BCTX a lot down here. Very nice down here. Support around $3. I like it a lot. I think this is going to be a pretty substantial play if it gets some news. If it gets news, I could see this one making a pretty substantial run. Is what I will say. My secret chart shows ASXC breaking down at 244. Pull up this bad boy. It's trying to get up over VWAP. We'll see if it gets rejected. Yeah, I think this is a decent range. If you think about it, right in here would be an area I would be targeting downside wise. Now here's the thing. I'm not going to completely discredit this price target upgrade because it's going to probably hold itself up with small caps doing fairly well. It's going to hold up decently, right, on this stock. I just don't think that this should be up 30+%. Is how I see it. So if it comes up a little bit more, I'll add to that position again. So we'll see. But this is probably a lunchtime fader and an afternoon fader, I would think. But then again, we also would like to see something else picking up. Like there really isn't much else out there that's picking up the slack, that's making a crazy run. For example, like PIRS yesterday, that went 100% and then went like 50% more in the after hours. You get something like that, that makes up for, I guess what we kind of have, that can at least take some eyes off of something like ASXC. Not surprised that it bounced. There. It was a pretty hard pull from the high of the day. Very hard pullback. Took some money on that one. We're green on the trade. It comes back up to my average. I'll add a little bit more, and we'll write it back down ideally for the day. So we'll see. But GSAT has been an interesting one as well. GSAT has been a interesting stock for me. Resistance right up around here. It's got some resistance for sure up around this 150 area. So if it can break through cleanly over 160, and then it has some range, it can get up to 175, $2 pretty easily. I haven't done enough due diligence personally in this one, but I know I've traded it before. Long, short, I've done it all. SNDL needs some news. SNDL is like one of the slower. It just like it moves like just so slow these days. 75 cents. Yeah, it's oh man. Yeah, this chart looks really good. Over 65, over around 70 cent support for a bottom play. Yeah, but yeah, you need something to propel it up. News or something, truly. So, okay, with that, comms is getting some action. What do we got? Why is comms pushing up? A little bit of action on the little comms here. What do we got? 2.7, that's up decently. That's more substantial of a move than we've seen lately. Might be some news driving it or something. We'll see. Other than that, though, I'm going to probably wrap things up fairly slow day. I mean, other than I had a couple plays that we did on the stream. We had a PLTR short for like a couple bucks, just for a short pullback. More of an example, I guess, not necessarily like I need to make money on this trade. NBRV is oversold here. I'm not touching it at this point because it fell below. Where is it? Yeah, it fell below 180, and I didn't like that look, so I'm gonna be just chilling on that one, and not because 180 was a decent area that it was trying to hold up earlier, and then we had, look back here, this spike down in pre-market, or yesterday in the after hours was 182. Under that, yeah, it probably could get a run back up. I'm just not going to catch a bottom bounce here. You would think, right, from being at 150, it's probably not a terrible idea if you wanted to try to catch a knife here, which is kind of what you're doing, because you had positive phase 3 news. You would think this bounces. I'm not sure if they have an S3, if they have an offering on file potentially, so that's the risk. So I don't know. I personally am just staying out of it. Risk reward isn't bad though, not bad at all, I don't think. So IDEX looks to be consolidating for a move up. That's another cult stock as well. Probably gets a decent move if it gets some news. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap things up. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is fun. I'm gonna keep doing these because these are fun on Wednesdays. Going forward, going to be essentially off the grid this weekend. So there'll be a stream probably Monday night or late Monday night or Tuesday next week. But we have the holiday weekend, so no markets close on Monday, and then we'll do the same thing Wednesday again next week, ideally. So appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll wrap things up here. Stay green. Hopefully we get that short to work out. Not going to go red on it for ASXC. I want 250. Not going to go red on it, though, so we'll assess. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.